Okay, this is just a brief demonstration of how I go about making cockpits that look like this without using a vacuum former. So, at any rate, a couple of things to point out is I've been using this plastic. I tried using pop bottles and found that didn't work very well. And I'm using the 0.03 thickness because I find anything thinner than that, given this method, seems to turn out pretty flimsy. These are really a nice weight, I think, just in terms of kind of stiffness and weight and ease of handling and durability and all that good stuff. One thing I'll point out too is, it might be a little bit hard to see, is that there are these little tabs here that I've glued on to the cockpit, and those tabs fit in little notches or cuts I've made into the foam. So that's how the cockpit actually sits on there and stays on there, and once I get a cockpit I really like, then I glue it in there so it's there for good. At any rate, so of course very important safety considerations is, these heat resistant gloves, because we're working with high heat here. You see I've got my hot air gun, and I will turn that on high, and then we'll get started with this, and hopefully the one I make will turn out. Let it heat up for a second. And by the way, the sheet that I'm using that came from this package is, the package comes with 2 sheets, and I cut each sheet in half. That way I get more poles out of it, and it's a good size at any rate for the size of cockpit I'm using. Alright, there we go. And just wave it over the heat source until I see it start to sag and get soft. And I do not have like a timing worked out on this. It's just kind of gut right now. Hold it there until it had time to cool in place. It looks like a decent pull. One thing to note is that when you pull it over, you want to actually pull it just not only down but also in underneath here, so that it doesn't kind of bow out at the sides towards the bottom of the cockpit. So we'll let it continue to cool for a minute. That looks good. Looks like a decent pull. And then we can take it off of here, and you'll see the form that I use is a piece of balsa wood that I've carved into shape, and of course fit it against the plane to make sure that it seats well and is the right size. Then I glue on the bottom of that balsa wood a piece of harder wood to screw the hook into, because if you screw the hook into the balsa wood, it's just going to tear it all up. So once I've got that pulled and it's had a chance to cool and set, then I draw lines to tell me where to cut it out. And once you've got the lines drawn, and I won't make you sit here and watch me draw the lines. Once you've got the lines drawn out, then I take this and I use this to cut it out, and that allows me then to remove, of course, the plastic that's not part of the cockpit, and then it tends to be pretty easy then to pop the cockpit off of the balsa wood form. Now, what you can do, if you like, if you're pretty comfortable with the size and such, and that you're not, that it's a good form, a good pull that you'll actually use, you could actually leave it on the balsa wood and paint the frame while it's on the form, or you can pop it off, try it, make sure it's a good fit, then pop it back on and paint it, because it's a lot easier to paint if it's sitting on this form, because you've got this nice handle. So that's it. That's how I go about doing it. It's what I use for paint is this Deco Color paint marker. Seems to work really well. It comes in a lot of different colors. I get that at Dick Blick. And here's what the finished product looks like. It's I think it's decent. Seems to work. And the little tabs that I mentioned that I use for attaching it, those are actually cut out of the waste plastic. So I'll cut tabs. They look a little hard to see, but I cut those tabs and super glue, or CA glue I should say, those on this to line up with the slots I've cut in the foam. So that's it. Hopefully that's helpful, and always welcome feedback and suggestions for improvements. Thanks.